Hi, welcome to lesson 2. In the first lesson you learned about the characteristics of a skilled performance, and today we are looking at the continuums and classification of skill. So what is classification of skill? We will be looking at 6 continuums that we can identify the type of skill being performed. If we can identify the type of skill being performed, as a coach, we should be able to then appropriately choose a type and method of practice to apply, which will come later in the course. We're looking at 6 continuums that will explore the factors that influence the skill. So let's start with the open and closed continuum. On one end of the continuum, we have an open skill, which is performed in an unpredictable environment, which involves frequent changes, and the skill may need to be adapted throughout. You can see I've put a picture of a surfer at the bottom, the unpredictable environment being the waves, the frequent changes being her foot placement and weight distribution on the board, and adaptation of the skill if there is some overbalancing or the wave is bigger than anticipated. She will have to adapt or move her skill to stay on the board. Other practical applications I've put on there are that you will have the ball rebounding unexpectedly from the backboard. It potentially could be the changing positions of other players in the game and not knowing where they're going to be. If they're constantly moving, you're constantly having to change your response. Opposing players would do the same as this. On the other end of the continuum, if we imagine this continuum like a line, we have the closed skills. Just for the record, it doesn't matter which way round on your continuum these words are, but it will be open at one end, closed at the other. In a closed skill, you've got a predictable environment. It's the same thing every single time. Adaptation is therefore not required, because if the environment is still the same, i.e. in this picture of the basketballer, he's behind the free throw line, he's always behind there, the surface is always the same, the hoop is always the same size, the hoop is at the same height, at the same distance, and he does not have players directly influencing his shot, so he does not need to adapt his skill. Because these actions are consistently repeated, we can say they're habits, they're habitual, they're instinctive, and you can probably do them without thinking. So it's repeated movements. Other application that you can have would be driving in golf, so you're teeing off, a long jump in athletics, and a penalty shot in netball. Could you pause the video now, please, and write down 2 or 3 open skills and 2 or 3 closed skills or scenarios in your best sport, in your chosen sport. So the next continuum is gross skill and fine skill. So we will have gross skill on one end of the continuum and fine skill on the other end of the continuum. So in the pictures here, I've put a netballer running for an interception, which will be whole body, and I've put a darts thrower who is just going to be the arm. A gross skill requires large muscle groups, so the netballer, gastrocnemius, quadricep, gluteals, core, deltoids, triceps, you name it, she's used it. They would be likened to powerful and fast events, for example, and other practical applications would be a dive in the pool at the start of a swimming race, jumping to rebound in basketball, running. A fine skill uses the smaller muscle groups and their more intricate, precise movements. So another application could be the spin bowler. I've put of a rounders ball because I know more about that than I do cricket, but cricket is exactly the same. So it's those small dexterous movements. Again, could you pause the video, please, and list 2 gross skills from your sport and 2 fine skills from your sport. Now those fine skills might be one aspect of a gross skill. Next we have the pace continuum. So on the opposite ends we have a self-paced and an externally paced continuum. In the self-paced continuum, we have actions where the performer controls the start time of the skill and also the pace of the skill once it's started. In a recreational jog, the runner would control both the starting and the pace of the skill. In a long jump, the performer will control the start of the skill but will not control the pace once they are in the air. An externally paced skill has no control over the execution of the skill and no control over the initiation of the skill. They're often open skills, which means they're reliant on responding to others. A couple of examples I put in the pictures was returning a serve, dictated by the timing of the opponent, so therefore externally paced. The other example I've got is a sprint start. This person is starting on the gun. Surfing I've put for a practical application because the pace of the skill is instructed by the wave. Could you pause the video and write down one self-paced skill and one externally paced skill within your sport, please? The next continuum is the organisational continuum. On one end of the continuum we have highly organised skills and at the other end low organised skills. The high organised skills are not easily broken down into subroutines. Imagine a subroutine to be part of a skill, a small part of a skill that if required you could practice separately or you could tell somebody about. So in basketball you may have learned with the acronym BEEF if you were shooting, balance, eyes, elbow, follow through, so you could split a skill down and practice just one aspect of it. In a highly organised skill it's very difficult to break those subroutines down and to identify them, and that's because they're often very quick skills or what we might call ballistic skills. An example of these would be a somersault or a smash in badminton. We remember the difference between the high organised skill and the low organised skill by the first letter. If it's highly organised, it's hard to break down. If it's a low organised skill, then it is easier. Okay, I think of it as a mountain, and if you're high up, it's hard, and if you're low down, it's easy. So for a low organised skill, those skills that you can break down, like I mentioned before with the basketball shooting, you can add swimming into this category. I don't know whether any of you are swimmers, but you can separate your arms and your legs, you can separate the different parts of the swim, and you can practice those aspects separately before putting them back into the whole skill. Please could you now pause the video and identify any highly organised skills in your sport or any low organised skills in your sport. We're almost there. The next continuum is a simple skill versus a complex skill. On the continuum here we have a simple skill. A simple skill has limited decision making, those that you don't really need to use your brain for. They're habitual skills, those that have been practiced over and over again, which if you recall were also known as closed skills. So examples of those I've put a somersault or high diving. For a complex skill you need to make more decisions before you can choose which skill you need to initiate and when you need to initiate it. So these are often open situations. These are situations where your teammates and the opposition are moving around all of the time. Application for those would be returning a shot in tennis. So you're having to make a judgment on where the ball is going to land and when it's going to land, and you have to adjust your technique or your skill to respond to it. Or passing to a teammate in football. Please could you pause the video and write down 3 simple skills from your sport and 3 complex skills from your sport, please. You made it. We're on the final slide, and this continuum has 3 different classifications. A discrete skill, a serial skill, and a continuous skill. So a discrete skill has a clear beginning and end and is often fast in action. For example, a somersault on trampolining and shooting in netball. Serial skills are discrete skills linked together. So a somersault followed by a handstand, followed by a forward roll, followed by a jump. Each skill in itself is a discrete skill, but linked together it's a serial skill. Examples of those would be routines such as gym and dance routines and triple jump. You've got the run up, the hop, the step and the landing. Continuous skills have no clear beginning or end, where you often can't really identify where the skill starts. And by this I don't mean when you get on the bike, but where the actual skill of cycling starts, because you can't pinpoint a part on the pedal where you have started the skill. So the skill just goes on and on and on. This is the same for running and swimming. There is no clear beginning and end. So often the end of one subroutine, that smaller aspect of the skill, leads straight on to the next aspect of the skill. So we've got discrete at one end, we have got continuous at the other end, and in between we've got these linked discrete skills to make the serial skills. For the last time, please could you stop the video? Could you write down 2 discrete skills from your sport, a serial skill from your sport if you have one, and a continuous skill from your sport, please?